Welcome, dear viewers, to Tales of Terror, the channel that takes you on a journey into the darkest corners of human fallibility, where a single mistake can lead to unimaginable consequences. Brace yourselves, for the tale I'm about to share will send chills down your spine. Before starting, do not forget to subscribe to the channel and activate the bell.
Fasten your seatbelts and let the story begin. Allow me to introduce myself. My name is Mark, a man of 32 years, leading a seemingly ordinary life with a loving wife and a precious daughter named Lisa, just 8 years old. In this era of modernity, I was content with my family, my job as an employee in a real estate company, and the blessings bestowed upon me. Little did I know that my world was on the brink of a horrifying transformation, a descent into the depths of terror that defied comprehension. Tragedy struck when my sweet daughter was diagnosed with spinal cord cancer, a cruel and unforgiving affliction, particularly for a young child unable to endure the arduous treatments. With a heavy heart, I watched as the illness claimed her life, leaving my wife and me shattered, our souls torn asunder. The loss of our beloved daughter was a blow too devastating to bear, thrusting us into the unthinkable reality of a future without her. But even in the face of such profound despair, I clung to the belief that there had to be a way, a solution to restore what was taken from us. I was consumed by an unwavering determination to seek it out, to reclaim the light that had been extinguished. Days turned into a relentless procession of grief, engulfing me entirely. Sleep evaded me, replaced by an endless procession of sorrow and tormenting thoughts. As my wife sought solace with her family, I found myself alone in our apartment, swallowed by the suffocating darkness of my despair. It was amidst this somber solitude, where my mind was but a foggy haze, that a peculiar notion surfaced, as if from the depths of my subconscious. It was an idea that seemed foreign yet compelling, one that urged me to take action, unaware of the consequences that awaited. Driven by an inexplicable force, I found myself unearthing a long-forgotten book, buried deep within the earth. This time held a place of reverence in my late grandfather's library, a collection he cherished, filled with forbidden knowledge of witchcraft and sorcery. However, it was crucial to note that my grandfather had harnessed this power for good, using it to aid those in need. I can still recall the sight of him, engrossed in the ancient pages, regaling me with tales from its enchanting depths during my childhood. And so, when he departed this world, I seized the opportunity to claim the book for myself, an heirloom of esoteric wisdom that I vowed never to part with, even after marriage. Concealing it within the confines of our apartment, I took great care to bury it beneath the very floorboards that separated us from prying eyes. But little did I comprehend the sinister force that lay dormant within those pages, a force that would soon ensnare me in its insidious clutches. The darkness within the book, once dormant, now yearned for release, drawing me inexorably into a nightmarish labyrinth from which escape seemed impossible. Unbeknownst to me, my descent into the abyss had only just begun, and the unspeakable horrors that awaited me would forever change the course of my existence. With a mixture of nervousness and determination, I gripped the bound volume tightly in my hands and pored over its pages. The instructions, written in clear, accessible English, presented me with a seemingly impossible task. To invoke the departed soul, I needed to bring the lifeless body to the center of a circle decorated with flickering candles, meticulously drawing the intricate symbols described in the ancient text. In this awful ritual, my role was to place Lisa's still form amid the ethereal glow of the flames and cast the incantation as prescribed. It was a bold venture, fraught with uncertainty and devoid of guarantees, but I knew that desperate circumstances called for desperate measures. And so, under cover of night, at exactly 2 o'clock in the morning, I embarked on a solemn journey to the cemetery, ready to exhume my daughter's remains and attempt the impossible. The scale of the task before me was undeniable, and yet an unshakable conviction remained deeply rooted in me, compelling me to pursue this last chance at redemption. As I wandered the winding roads leading to the cemetery, a strong mixture of anticipation and apprehension coursed through my veins. To my surprise, the journey to the final resting place was uneventful, as if unseen forces had conspired to aid me in this bleak endeavor. Reaching the tomb, I steeled myself to what lay beneath, descending into the murky depths with a heart heavy with fear. Fear gnawed at my core, and was heightened by the dreadful atmosphere of the cemetery, but my deep sorrow and unwavering determination overshadowed any trace of cowardice. With trembling hands, I tenderly retrieved the dead body of Lisa from her slumber and embraced her fragile figure, preparing for the arduous return home. As I embarked on the journey back home, an inexplicable sensation permeated the air. I sat in the back seat. Lisa's steady presence beside me seemed to shift, fleeting and elusive within the confines of the chair. Every time I stole a look in search of solace, I was faced with a bone-chilling spectacle from her unwavering figure. The car pressed on, only to hear a faint, rhythmic boom coming from the suitcase beside me. Consumed with curiosity, I unzipped the bag, only to discover Lisa's lifeless body tightly clutching her beloved teddy bear. A mixture of dread and uneasiness swept over me, for it seemed as if part of her essence had returned, clinging to cherished relics from her past. Finally, within the walls of our apartment, I carefully placed my daughter's neglected figure in the center of the neatly arranged circle. Standing on the precipice of a supernatural abyss, she began to recite the incantation with a force fueled by despair, each word resounding with fearsome force. "Oh, dwellers of the abyss, who watch my every move, feel my every breath and hear my summons. I willingly offer myself as your servant, bound to your will. I shall be your servant, I shall be your servant, I shall be your slave." A tangible thickness enveloped the air, an otherworldly existence that seemed to pulsate with dark energy. The room itself seemed to come to life, vibrating with miraculous force. The result of my daring gamble hung precariously in the balance, teetering between hope and dread. What was waiting for me on the other side of this forbidden ritual? Only time will reveal the painful consequences of my actions. In that chilling moment, an eerie stillness settled upon the room, enveloping everything in an unsettling calm. I found myself frozen in place, a mixture of shock and confusion consuming my thoughts. Something was happening, a phenomenon beyond my comprehension unfolding right before my eyes. My gaze remained fixated on the lifeless form lying motionless before me, and then the impossible occurred. Lisa stirred. It was as if life had been breathed back into her, or so it appeared. A surge of peculiar sensations coursed through my body, mingling intrigue with a creeping sense of unease. There was an unnerving quality to Lisa's gaze, a glint that hinted at something sinister lurking within. With uncanny mechanical precision, she started to approach me, each step measured and deliberate, reminiscent of a robot. Yet, her legs held an unnatural aspect, a deviation from the norms of humanity. Without warning, with a sudden burst of energy, Lisa lunged at me, her hands clawing at my face with a force that defied explanation. I was immobilized, rendered motionless by a paralyzing fear that gripped every fiber of my being. Finally, a surge of adrenaline surged through my veins, granting me the strength to strike back. I unleashed a mighty blow upon Lisa, hoping to subdue her. She collapsed to the ground, seemingly lifeless. Panic and guilt washed over me as I questioned whether I had gone too far and inflicted harm upon my own daughter. But my relief was short-lived as, within moments, she began to crawl, moving with an animalistic demeanor. It was a terrifying sight, one that sent shivers down my spine. Desperately, my eyes darted around the room, searching for anything that could restrain her. In a stroke of desperation, I seized an iron chain and bound her tightly to the bed, my only recourse to prevent any further chaotic outbursts. The scene that unfolded before me defied any semblance of normalcy. I grappled with the ethical implications of my actions, questioning whether my decisions were right or wrong. Regardless, one thing remained clear in my mind. I had to shield my wife from the harrowing truth. Exposing her to this grotesque nightmare could shatter her spirit irreparably. Thus, I resolved to keep this dark secret hidden from the prying eyes of the world. Sealing the door to a room that had long remained locked, I imprisoned Lisa, or whatever force had taken hold of her, within its confines. It became my solemn mission to comprehend the enigma that had befallen us. Deep down, I knew this was no ordinary human affliction. A profound mistake had been made, one that would haunt me for the rest of my days. Now, confined within the safety of my own room, I find myself perpetually on edge, my every movement calculated and cautious. It has been 6 days since that fateful event, and during this time, a calamity of unimaginable proportions has unfolded. Each and every resident of our once thriving building has met a brutal demise, their lives ruthlessly extinguished. And the cause? Lisa, or rather, the malevolent entity that now possesses her. I bear the weight of guilt, for it was my ill-fated summoning that set this malevolence in motion. With trembling hands, I transcribe this account, acutely aware that soon it will be my turn to face her unrelenting attempts to breach the door, just as she did with those who came before me.
Today's story is over. Our stories are not over yet. See you tomorrow in a new day of horror. Goodbye.